now I would like to invite Dean Teresa Maldonado to say a few words from College of Engineering point of view. Thank you.
It's so hard to follow Bill. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. And thank you, Bill and Neelam, for inviting me to even be here and make some remarks. This is an amazing event. I am always constantly looking for pathways for students from different backgrounds and figure out how to create even new ones to make access to engineering in particular possible. And I worked in DC recently, and we took a hard look at the veteran community, for example. And as we know, the veteran community, military personnel, represent a broad spectrum of the United States population, and unfortunately including persons with disabilities. And so we actually awarded many PIs across the country to explore how to engage military personnel as they separate from the military to look at engineering as a possible degree and career path. And so there are many examples across the country of successful programs to engage the military. With Fort Bliss as our neighbor and part of our community, we have an opportunity here at UTEP to engage the military personnel in what we do in engineering. We also live in a region that has a high occurrence of diabetes and obesity, and the complexity of disease like that unfortunately leads to blindness and hearing impairment. And so we have, I think, a quiet community that we need to engage in engineering, and forgive me for talking about engineering, but that's the way to go. Just saying. But we have a quiet community out there that I think is disproportionately quite large compared to other parts of the country, all along the Texas-Mexico border. And it's our responsibility and our enthusiasm to engage this community in engineering. We have a wonderful student body here. They embrace, what I see, they embrace everyone of all backgrounds, and so it's very exciting to work with these students. I want to highlight, in particular with persons with disabilities, an awareness, access, accommodation, and action. As far as awareness, the federal government has been talking about engaging persons with disabilities as early as the 1980s, and in fact has formalized this engagement in public law. And there are several legislative actions that occurred in the 80s and the 90s. But you can pass laws, but what do you do with them? And so we worked very hard, and I was fortunate to chair a committee called the Committee on Equal Opportunities in Science and Engineering that reports to Congress through the NSF president. And while I was chair of this committee, we had a two-day workshop on exploring how to engage persons with disabilities in science and engineering. It was really successful. But again, is how do we keep the activity going? So my point here is that there is formal legislation to support persons with disabilities in STEM. There are a lot of resources out there to tap, and it's our responsibility to do so to engage our local population into engineering. Access and accommodation. So I asked myself, I'm new here 3.5 months, but we have a responsibility to inform the K-12 community and families in the region about the opportunities in engineering for their children and family members who may have an impairment of some type. Are we doing our part to inform military personnel who may have acquired an impairment about the opportunities of becoming an engineer? And then once these students are on campus, are these individuals able to access buildings, the library, classrooms, laboratories, and research facilities? For example, I used to always pose the question, can someone in a wheelchair have access to a clean room? And so how do we accommodate persons with disabilities in a clean room where you have to suit up in a clean environment to do nanoscience research? And then are we providing our students with information about the rich opportunities they have in the workforce? So this requires a partnership with future employers. So the College of Engineering and companies federal agencies and nonprofits to employ our students once they graduate. So action, what's next? We should look at our student recruitment strategies and make sure that they accommodate and invite all students to be part of the STEM community, and especially engineering. And I'm going to look at the way we do our recruiting for the College of Engineering to make sure that happens. Because of public law, we have research opportunities. National Science Foundation and other agencies actually have formal programs for faculty to do research in areas that deal with accommodation. And we are really primed to go after those monies. Persons with disabilities, we need you in STEM. You offer a unique perspective that could propel the United States to look at what we develop in research and commercialization. And you have an eye on how we can do things better that no one else has. And so I look forward to this engagement in the College of Engineering as I serve as Dean. Thank you. Now I'm very excited to introduce our new provost, Carol Parker, who came to us from the University of New Mexico. She's just doing fabulously here, and since we're both new, I think a week apart, we're figuring this out.